All right, can you hear me in Zoom?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome, cool. All right, follow up to what I said to the live audience. We're gonna get started here pretty soon. Go ahead and grab this QR code. Everyone that wants to sign in, go ahead and grab that too. We do this to make sure that we have accountability for active student members. We have to keep control of that for SGA and voting records. So if you plan on voting at all this semester, or you plan on running for an executive position, you'll need to sign in. I'm going to do that as well. Give everyone a couple more minutes to get that done.
Sure. Now, who's really fast at writing stuff on Zoom?
Actually, it does it automatically.
Oh, that's nice.
I take no responsibility for what it subtitles me as, so.
Titled man, so.
All right, anyone still need that QR code? Nope.
If anyone does need it later on, for the first few slides, it'll be on the bottom right corner of the screen, so you can still continue the scan.
Continue the Spanish. All right, y'all. So we're gonna go over some announcements. We're gonna go over the previous week's cyber challenge solution, which was the end of last semester. We got current events today with Josh, and then we're doing some demonstrations today from all of us up here. So should be pretty cool. Hopefully. All right, Jeffrey, do you want to check over announcements? Thank you.
So let's take a look at some of the competitions, opportunities, and other things that are going on, including potentially some Defcon news. So first, let's talk about the Ncaa Cyber Games. You might have remembered that this was called the C2 Games before, but it has been officially rebranded to cybergames.org. So this is a beginner-oriented cybersecurity competition. Think of it something akin to NCL, but without the buy-in. So that is making it a lot more accessible. Now, UCF is actually, I believe, one of the few teams that have more than 4 players, like out of everyone who qualifies. So if we can get those numbers pretty high, like that'll be awesome to see. So the best part is it is focused on teaching you. So you don't need to have any experience if you want to try this. You just try it. What's the worst can happen? So this is a competition focusing on teamwork, confidence building, and just generally building your skill repertoire in cybersecurity. The sandbox is now open and it is free to participate. You just need to create an email or create an account with your Knight's email, and you can get started and try out some of the boxes I have up there. Now let's talk about some potential job opportunities you might be interested in. So one of them is not so much a job opportunity, but a lead to a potential job opportunity. Next Wednesday, January 26th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the UCF Department of Experiential Learning is hosting their semesterly internship fair. It is going to be virtual, hosted on Handshake, and signups are open right now. It is a first come, first serve for the about 39 employees or employers that are going to be up there. they have limited spots, so the sooner you can join, the better. And as I said, 39 employers are going to be in attendance, and you can scan the QR code for more information or go to the short link on screen. If someone wants to put that into chat, that would be much appreciated. So now let's talk about the essays, CAE or NCX Tech Talks that they're going to be giving up. So like every other Tuesday and Thursday from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, the NSA will be giving live presentations on several technical topics. These include cryptography, software development, policy, and malware. Note that this is the NSA, they're a government organization, and they're pretty strict that you're not allowed to record this. It is show up at one of the 2 times that each event's going to take place, or you're not going to be able to catch that at all. Note, this is for the NSA's NCX competition, but you don't have to strictly be a member of a competition team to benefit from the NSA's training. Once again, scan the QR code or visit the short link if you'd like to learn more. Now, speaking of government, the Department of Energy, they actually are quite involved in cybersecurity. They host the Cyberforce competition to 1, and they're now offering paid internships for people in cybersecurity and information technology. It is able to be done for 3 consecutive semesters and has even the potential for a security clearance if you do well enough. And as you progress through the program, you get to try different aspects of life as an employee of the Department of Energy. If you want more information, link or QR code, and applications close on February 17th. So other job opportunities, if you're interested in working at 40 North, they are a penetration testing and cybersecurity training firm. They have 2 intern positions open, one as a web developer and one for security. It's a part-time remote opening. So if you're taking classes over the summer, it should be able to fit nicely into your schedule. But one thing is, applications are due tonight. So please, if you want to catch this opportunity, please fill out the application pretty much as soon as this meeting is over. You can apply at 40northsecurity.com/blog/internship or scan the QR code as usual. So now I'm going to pass it over back to Daniel. Talk about the competition.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Also, if you didn't catch those, or you're just not really sure if you want to apply yet or not, or maybe like it's just not a good time for you, but maybe next week, some other time, you can request any of this information in the Discord, and someone will be more than happy to drop it there for you. And we also put up all of our meetings, or at least the ones we're allowed to, on YouTube later. Usually a 1 to 2 week lag time before it gets there, but it'll be up there eventually. I just want to go ahead and congratulate our design contest winners from last semester one last time. Your prizes are starting to come in. So if you are in the audience, go ahead and come up and talk to me afterward, and we'll get those to you. And if you're in chat, we can schedule something later on down the road, but I've got lockpicks, we're working on the gift cards, and the discount codes for your free merch will be on the way. Cool. I want to talk about elections real quick. So we do our elections in spring semester, and they are coming up. Nominations open up on the 25th. You can read all the details up there. You have to be an active student member to run, along with a bunch of other qualifications. We'll get into that later on in the semester as time goes on. But anyone can nominate anyone. However, you're not going to be required to actually run unless you accept the nomination. That's how that works. On the 15th of April, we will be opening elections for voting for the length of our general body meeting. We will hold everything there. We'll count everything, make sure it's all good to go, and we'll announce winners at that time. Executives will be assuming their positions directly following that meeting for the rest of the semester as available. So, Defcon 30. Quick in the audience, by show of hands, who knows what Defcon is? Hey, awesome, cool, making my job real easy. So if you have been paying attention the last couple of years, Defcon has both been canceled for real this time, and then we went kind of a hybrid route. Now, we are looking at the potential to actually go to Defcon as a group this Defcon. To do that, we're going to need to get all of our ducks in a row and make sure that we are ready to go before the end of the semester, and that all arrangements are done for something that's going to happen in August. That hasn't been done in the past because it is kind of a beast to wrangle up everyone together when everyone gets so busy, like midterms and whatnot. but we're going to give it a shot. For us to do that, we have to decide to go as a group. So all of our general body members who are able to vote, we will be bringing this to a vote in the upcoming meetings. And if we get the go ahead, I will approach SGA and see if we can't get funding for this trip. It is to Las Vegas, Nevada. It is from the 11th to the 14th of August. It's going to be really awesome if we had the opportunity to go. I'm going to go anyway, but if everyone can go for a discount price, that would be even better. So stay tuned for that. Cool. Ethics, real quick. So if you are a member, you've signed this form. If you're not a member yet, you will sign this form. And if you don't plan to be a member, I'm going to broach this real quick. Basically, the way that we do things here is we teach you things. We don't tell you what to do with it. However, if you decide to do something malicious, we're not going to protect you. That's not what we're here for. We disseminate knowledge. If you go out and you do bad things, you're going to get caught. And if they approach us asking for information, we're going to turn it over, right? So just want to put that out there. Make sure that everyone realizes that we have to hold ourselves to the highest level of accountability possible. If we don't get to exist anymore. All right, so this was the Cyber Challenge solution from last semester. This is the last one that we did. And I don't know how many of you are follow-ons from last semester, how many of you got to do this, but I'm going to go through how you would solve it. It's really, really easy, but just get started. So I'm going to grab this string of characters and we're going to see like what I can do with this. I love using CyberChef. It makes my life so easy. If you've never used this tool before, we've done a tool time on it a couple of different times, but it's just basically a bunch of different toolkits thrown together into a web app that you can design around solutions for a bunch of different things. It's usually my first go-to whenever doing a CTF or other kinds of challenges, just to kind of get a feel for like what's going on there. Since I already know what this is, I'm going to do directly from base 64, and we end up with this string of characters right here. Hopefully you might not be able to read it. It's on the slide later, but it's have a safe and happy new year. So jumping back to slideshow, we'll go to CyberChef, and this is what we end up with. Base 64 encoding is not encryption, and I'm probably going to give a whole talk on encryption later on in the semester, but it is a neat little way to slide messages around and disguise them. So that was the Cyber Challenge solution. Now we're going to go on to current events.
Hi, all. All right. So for our first current event, we have a dark web marketplace that has announced that it is shutting down. Ncaa was the largest illegal marketplace for stolen credit cards. And what they would do is they use those credit cards to buy gift cards or other high value items and then resell them for cash. They've been around since 2013 and they made almost $358 million, but the owners have announced that they're shutting down because they're getting ahead of themselves and they do not want to be caught. This has given mixed feelings to authorities because they want these founders to be held accountable for their actions. So the case against them is still open. For a second one, you can bid on government projects. However, they are fake. A phishing campaign was put into place that mimicked the Department of Labor's website. They just put in a link in the web email and just sent it out to a bunch of people. However, and the link took you to the Department of Labor website. However, these hackers copied the source code of the Department of Labor's website and just added in like a bright red link that once you click it, it'll take the victim to a credential harvester. And a bunch of people's information got stolen. Now, an engineer tried to figure out where this information was going. So he clicked the link and put in some fake credentials. However, the website was able to determine that these credentials were fake. So it just gave him like a little pop-up that said, these are fake. Another engineer group tried to do the same thing. However, it just took him straight to the actual Department of Labor website. So yeah, don't click on phishing links, please. Last one, Fine8 hackers use a new ransomware called White Rabbit. Fine8 is a financially motivated group that has attacked the retail industry, the entertainment industry, and the hospitality industry. And what they did recently was they used White Rabbit and attacked just a local US bank. Now, what White Rabbit does is once it's deployed, it just sits there inactive for a little bit until someone puts in a password into the command line. Once it does that, it'll scan the computer for target files. And once it finds those target files, it'll encrypt them. And it'll add the .script extension to it. So if I had text.txt, it'll do text.txt.script. And after it's done encrypting all of its target files, the victim will be presented with a note that says you have 4 days to comply with our demands, or we will publish/sell all of your information on the internet. Now, this has been compared to another ransomware operation called Egregor that also used the same password scheme to execute its payload. This was a relatively small attack, so authorities think that they're just testing the waters to see what White Rabbit can do. And yep.
All right, so usually we do a whole presentation walking you through one specific thing, and usually that's accompanied by a tool time talking about a bunch of different stuff too. But today we're doing a demonstration gauntlet. So I'd like to welcome Cole up to the screen to go ahead and walk us through Wi-Fi cracking. So if you want to go ahead and share your screen, and then you can do everything from there. You have one right here. There you go.
Hi everyone, my name is Colton. I'm going to be talking about dumping credentials from Wi-Fi networks externally without having to intercept anything from clients. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to be impersonating a valid client and getting it to return a cached version of the console. So I'm going to do screen share. Is that able to be seen?
There it is.
Yeah. Right. There it is. So essentially the way the attack works is you're going to send a authentication request to the access point, and it will reply with the password that you're supposed to be typing in, essentially. So we're going to start our little network card here. We're also going to pray that this little $5 router from Goodwill can make it to the presentation live. So we're going to set our monitor. There we go. Sorry about that. So we're going to set our network card to monitor mode. It's basically setting it so it's constantly looking for, switching between channels, looking for anything. And then we're going to run a command called arrow dump. What this does is it sits on it sets this thing just looking for any traffic that's being sent anywhere, and uses it to identify hidden networks, really anything that's around us. So I believe it should be, yep, there it is. Really subtle name here, we have a hack name. So we're going to take the SSID, that's the unique identifier for it, and we're going to throw that into a command called hcx dump tool. What this does is it automates the process of trying to authenticate, getting the hash, and everything like that. So, I have the command already written out here. One last one first. And also, just disclaimer, don't do this with things you don't own. Obviously, it's illegal. People don't like it when you try to break into their Wi-Fi. So we are going to throw this into a filter file. So we're only messing with this little router right here. So and you can see we're supplying filter list and the filter mode. So once it boots up, you should see a long line of what it's doing. This is running the VM with pretty limited resources, so it is. Oh, that was fast.
There's also about a second lag time.
And there it is. All right, cool. So it's received the impid road from HackMe. It also got some info stuff from ECFWK2 that was not active. That was just people in the area signing in. So from there we go to, we're going to convert that to something that a password cracking tool is able to is able to use. That's what my notes here. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So you just go hash.txt, whatever file, doesn't really matter. And we're going to do demo files. It process one pcap file and drop the hashes into a file. You can see just hash.txt. And that's the hash, essentially the encrypted version of password that we're trying to crack. So what we do is we throw it into Hashcat. Daniel's going to be talking about this later, I believe, right?
Won't be doing Hashcat, but we'll be talking about hash cracking. But if you want to, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, that one. Oh, okay then. And because of the fact that I have tested this previously, which oh, thank you very much, appreciate it. We can see basically it goes through testing out thousands and thousands of passwords in the course of like a couple seconds. And once it finds one successfully that decrypts it, or that encrypts in the same way, you can see it pops it out right there. Our network has hacked me, our password is 123. And if we go to our it didn't work yet. Sorry about that. I think my dollar store router has failed me. Oh wait, there we go. All right. And that's the password we found, and it should successfully connect. Hopefully. There we go. And it's connected there. Yeah, it's fairly simple attack. It's assuming you don't suddenly forget anything. Yeah, you can do it in like 5 minutes and without anyone on the network. So yeah.
Was there any questions in the chat?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions.
So one chat question is Hashcat better than using Aircrack?
Aircrack is, I believe, CPU based, right? So it depends on your computer, but I just personally prefer using Hashcat, and HCX dump tool automatically outputs in a format that is set up for Hashcat. So the hack was originally developed by researchers at Hashcat, actually. So yeah, anything else?
Any questions in the audience? Yeah, what's up?
Do not Goodwill routers have any sort of security preventions against this tool?
It really depends. Around, if I remember correctly from the original research, around 80 to 90% of routers that were tested were vulnerable to it. It's exploiting a vulnerability in the way that the router attempts to reconnect. So say like, I walk 5 feet out of the range of my router and walk back in. Instead of going through the whole process of like, sending back all the encryption data to get a 4-way handshake, it just compares the cached version of the encryption and sends it back to you. At which point you can go through the process, crack it, and get access to whatever network it is. So,
From Ethan in chat, is there any particular crack tool that is better than one, or is it just preference?
it's just personal preference and what your hardware is. Actually, were they able to hear that question?
You should repeat the questions, yeah, for people in Zoom. Makes it easy.
Someone on Zoom asked if any particular tool is better than any of the others, or if it's just personal preference. It's mainly personal preference and what hardware you're running. John is CPU based, so if you're using a bad GPU or on a laptop or something that doesn't have a GPU, you might want to go with John. And John's also a little bit easier to use generally. Hashcat is GPU based, so if you have like a 3080 or something, it's probably best to go with Hashcat. It's all personal preference, so. Anything else?
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Cole. All right, awesome. So now I'll be talking about hash cracking. I'm not going to read all the details on the screen. You can probably do that yourself, but I'm going to be doing something really surface level today. Going to throw a bunch of hashes into an online web app. That way you can use this at home if you'd like to. This is also one of the things that I like to do whenever starting any kind of like CTF that requires hash cracking, because even if you don't get a hit, you'll know a lot more failing the database that you're going to query than if you just started on your own stuff. But there's a lot more to hash cracking. We'll go into that later in the semester if anyone's interested. But without further ado, let's get to it. So we've got all these hashes and we need to crack them. So I'm going to copy them all. We're going to go to crack station. And I can enter into this 20 non-salted hashes, 1 per line. Now I've tested all these out and they are going to work, but we're just going to, not identify as a robot and crack hashes. And there we go. So all these hashes were found in the database that CrackStation maintains. Every single time that you enter into a hash that doesn't get a positive return, it adds it to the next round of hashes that get cracked. So it's constantly always expanding the DB. So if you look here, you probably can't see it's, I'm going to go to this later on in the slide, but basically what it does is it says what your hash was, what the type was, and what the result was. I picked hashes that were in the top 10 easiest or top 10 most common passwords. So it was almost guaranteed to work. Coming back here, you can see that we've got MD5, SHA-1, MD4, NTLM, SHA-512, and SHA-256. So every single one of these hashes is a different protocol, and all these passwords are relatively super common. MD5 and SHA-1 are pretty common whenever you're doing like a CTF, you'll run across these. NTLM is Windows based, so if you're hitting Windows boxes, you're likely to come across these. SHA-512 and SHA-256 are a little bit less common in CTFs, but they do show up pretty frequently. I don't think I've ever actually run into an MD4 in a competition I've done. So yeah, any questions? No, cool. Anyone? Nope, not in chat either. Awesome. So let's do some cross-site scripting.
Hello again. All right, XSS website defacement or cross-site scripting. Basically just when a hacker wants to get access to a website or data, they just embed their code onto a web page and just waits for a user to trigger it, just trigger the malicious script, and then they can gain access to session tokens, cookies, and all sorts of user data that you don't want getting out there. Yeah, basically what I just said. It is highly illegal because it can lead to just website defacement, which humiliates the company, session hijacking, and like drive-by downloads. For this example, I will be demonstrating this topic on an environment that allows it so that I don't get arrested. So just a really simple area right here. Now what we can do is this one allows it to just pop up a little message. That there, just pop up a little message. This one you can also just wipe the whole page with it right here. Just completely blank, it's over.
Now, what does the page normally do when you're not trying to hack it?
Not really much.
You want to show it anyways?
right now it just like you can just like type random characters and it'll just show you what you put out. The last one is you can take all the fine art that the programmers went to make the website look nice and wipe it with your butt, basically. And that's cross-site scripting. Yeah. Any questions? Yes.
If you like have your own website, can you like hash back like from their own website? Would that be illegal?
I don't think so, no.
You're giving yourself permission.
Yeah.
If it's your own website.
Yeah,
If it's like a corporation.
if it's a corporation, you want to get permission from them.
Also, it's always good to be careful because sometimes you don't always own the hardware 100%. So make sure you're staying in the scope of like what your stuff is and not like trying to like accidentally hack AWS.
Also, getting permission means getting permission in writing. You aren't gonna be able to like call back someone else's word from a conversation you had 3 months ago. If you've got it in an email, then like you're pretty much covered. But if you're trying to explain to the authorities why it is that like you really didn't break the law and you have no proof, you're gonna be screwed.
So, do you have, can I have the mic?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, so Atla in chat asks, is scripted injection the same as SQL injection, but what it looks like JavaScript?
I believe it's a similar attack, but I think cross-site scripting is not entirely sure, but I believe it's different than SQL injection.
Yeah, it's different how it works.
Yeah.
I'd say XSS is more versatile because you can use store and client side. Store is basically where you have it actually on the server, and anyone that does go on it gets it. Client side is basically stored in the browser session, stuff like that. SQL injection, you're kind of limited to what SQL can do, so you can drop database if you wanted. Sometimes there's called like SQL copy exploits, so you can like basically run commands on the host, but it's kind of limited to the actual database and using stuff like that.
Also, I am slightly impressed the microphone actually picked that up.
Like better than that.
Yeah,
Cool.
for sure.
Are there any questions? All right, cool. Caleb, you want to come up here and talk about some untrusted USBs?
Okay, well, hello. So I got a untrusted USB that you should probably not plug in here. So what this is called a bash bunny. So what this does is it pretty much allows you to run scripts on start with your machine, and you don't want that to happen. It is very bad. As I'll show, no hands. And this is allowing you can install malware and then you can edit the registry keys in Windows to keep the malware persistent. You can add it to startup, and then every time the person logs in, boom, it's right there. And that can be like, if you wanted to actually be malicious, you could add a keylogger, and then you can be grabbing like, oh, you have a certain pattern that you can find. This person's entering their login credentials, and boom, now their logins are gone and you have all their information. So I'm gonna share my screen and hopefully, tell me if you guys can hear this. Nope. Did you guys hear that in chat? Like in Zoom?
Only share desktop audio or microphone audio.
Okay, well, I don't need microphone audio for this. So
It's still need to shoot while you walk through. It's fine.
No, on the
Pick up
computer.
whatever your desktop sounds.
yeah, okay. So if I do. No. Let's try this.
I'm gonna drag that slide right through it.
Yeah. No. Okay, let's see okay. I don't think Zoom is going to participate very well with this this thing, so I am going to change the input source.
You still have to share screen on Zoom.
Yeah, it already is shared on Zoom.
They just won't be able to hear.
Yeah, which is kind of unfortunate because it's kind of important to this demonstration, but that's besides the point. Okay. See. Okay. Yep. Okay. So. Okay, I'm gonna launch the USB. No hands, by the way. Yeah, and that's probably why you shouldn't install random USBs that you don't own or trust. Because someone might be a little bit more malicious than throwing 150 different empty folders called sus on your home screen.
So you would say you should not plug in suspicious USBs into your computer.
Yeah, probably. Like
You can do it on your own computer. Still get the USB.
like I probably could, but it probably wouldn't be be respectful for other people's time. Okay. No, that was on bare metal. If I go, what? I just delete it. Wow, all the folders are gone. Yeah, I should, like, that's another thing. You should, if you're doing stuff like this, probably don't do it on bare metal on machines that you own. What's really sad is that this is Windows 10 Home Edition, so I don't even get hypervisor control, so I can't even run a VM.
You can get Windows 10 Education Edition from Azure.
Yeah, I should probably get that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
For the background on like what the actual thing is doing, if I go over here and in here, there's a payload, and then you go over here, here's the actual PowerShell script. And then this is pretty much what it does. And what it's doing here, all of these send keys, this is keystroke injection. So it's pretty much going and specifying what commands that you actually want to be running. And it just injects the keystrokes into your program, and then you can pretty much do a lot more than funny folders and downloading files. Okay, so that's it.
Oh, none of that was on Zoom.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
just
so
look back to
sad.
Defcon, though.
okay. Did it really not share the screen? I thought I did.
The demo did.
Oh.
You didn't
Oh.
switch back to the restaurant.
Gotcha.
Oh, that's all right. We'll do that next time.
Unlucky.
Thank you, Caleb.
They did get to see the punchline.
The most important part.
All right, check, can y'all hear us in Zoom? No?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, cool. All right, so was untrusted USBs, do some eternal romance.
Yes. So, who here has not heard of the Eternal Blue exploit? All right, so, well, this would be cool. So, Eternal Romance is basically the same thing, just for different versions of Windows. It was developed by the NSA, and they didn't actually release it till actually some bad actors basically like exposed the NSA. It was like 5 years old, and then they got exposed. So it's a pretty critical one. It affects almost nearly any version of Windows, but only if you use SMB version 1. There's actually SMB versions 2s and 3s now, which are not vulnerable. But basically, you're allowed to send malicious payloads to the admin chair, which gives you basically NT authority or root access to the machine. The only difference between Eternal Romance and Eternal Blue is that it requires name pipes, which is like the way processes communicate and stuff in Windows. So if you don't really know, like Eternal Blue doesn't require it, but because of that, you can actually blue screen your computer half the time or something like that. So I'm going to demo it here. Yes. Cool. So this is a Windows XP professional VM that I quite named it. Oh, I can't really see it. It's called Matt Eternal because my name is Matt. Let me just. No, I can't see that either. What is this thing? Okay, cool. So I have the admin account, right? I can log in because I made this box. I can log in. I can do spawn a shell on the command prompt, but I don't really like admin perms. I want to get full control. So I'm going to run this exploit. I can show you the options. So I'm using this thing called Metasploit. It has a bunch of pre-built scripts that you can do a lot of cool exploits that you don't have to like build yourself. So I'm basically running this and spawning reverse shell, which will be talked about later. And down there, you're seeing it's sending a malicious package to the OpenSMB shares and running it. And now I have an interpreter shell, which I can spawn and have NT. Oh, that's why. All right, let me log out. Sorry. This is log off. It's because how Windows works is once you log on, whoever's the highest user on there, it'll basically spawn a shell like that. So let me just exit out here real quick and redo this. And then since now that you're not logged in, it actually runs as like the main OS user, which is NT authority. So now all right, well, it's not working. But what I can do is run a command and then password. And I can give myself basically, I can make an RDP session. So see, there's only one admin user. And at this moment, now I can try connecting. Yes. And let me log in. So I called it Matt. Did it spell right? Yeah. And now I can log in without even actually making an account by hacking into it. This is a slow VM, but now it's Windows XP and it's still loading. But that's why you don't use XP. But yeah, this there's a bunch of other ones called like Eternal Synergy. There's also like Double Pulsar, a bunch of these SMB vulnerable vulnerabilities.
And actually Linux is also vulnerable to this. It's called Eternal Red. So red pill, blue pill with the matrix kind of reference to that. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Typically, had it worked properly, I could like delete the file system if I wanted to, and a bunch of other cool things. So yeah, does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
How did you know your shell wasn't Ncaa authority system?
So let me disconnect. It would you see how the shell says system 32, that's admin. It would also, rather than saying system 32, it'd say like NT authority in all caps. Really cool. It's very apparent and stuff like that. So yes.
What scenarios would you want to have like?
So NT authority, so you know how you're a regular user and you can't do some privileges without admin? Think of admin restricted, but NT authority can do everything an admin can't. It's almost at kernel mode, but not there quite yet. I was gonna do it on my own, but try to think of like Windows permissions as rings. Ring 0 is kernel mode, and you can basically have full control of the operating system. And so there are ways to do that with code and exploits like that. So it'd be easy to do that if you have NT authority because you have almost full control of the computer or OS. Yeah.
So Safa on Zoom asked, so you know the username and password of the XP? This looks like you're just logging in from another device via a remote desktop.
Yeah, so are you talking about, so Safa, yeah, so I logged in with my Matt username because I actually, initially there was no username called Matt, because the reason why is if once a user is created on the XP box or XP computer, the admin user, you can't log in directly through that. And that's how you know. If I actually restarted this, like powered it off, let me just show you it. There we go. And actually I can probably, so yeah, now there's Matt, right? I made that user, and now now that's why I can do it. Now if I tried running this again, since I restarted it, it should give me NT authority. All right, never mind. Something's weird, but that's the system bot. But anyways, yeah. So I basically created a username using this deprecated but still useful script called run get GUI, and that basically creates a user that allows me to remote desktop in. Obviously, my Matt user doesn't have admin, so I logged back in under that Matt user. I'll show you that it's different.
When you did the echo username, it printed out, looks like half me.
Yeah.
So you're
A machine?
yeah.
Password 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh. Well, I just corrupted something. That's not good. So I can do task list. And let's see if I can do something. You're saying a machine?
Yeah.
Let's see if I'm gonna kill. Let's see. Pick one. Let's do CRS S, which is 640. Nope. Try that again. Oh boy, I really hate Windows. So what I'm trying to do is, oh, I can't kill it. All right. But that was basically I have system 32, which is admin, or maybe even, that's weird. That's not really showing me that. But anyways, I was able to log into the box and do whatever I want, except kill system processes that are critical. That would be requiring kernel mode, and that's a whole other story. Any other questions?
So the username and password that you tried was your Mac device information?
Yeah, and apparently I corrupted it somehow.
in that fashion. So yeah, any other questions? Yep.
Yeah, so if you were to do this, could you like change the root admin password or the main admin password and then like have access to the box later, months down the road if you wanted to?
Yeah, you could do, so say I wanted to change my mat account, and I would do, crap, I did this earlier.
Note that Matt is logged in.
Oh, I'm logged. That is so weird. Oh, okay. I guess I could log in. All right, there we go. Now I can show you my man prompt. No. Huh? All right. There we go. So I don't even have like system 32 or anything like that. So obviously I made an account that's completely different. So yeah, any other questions? Yeah, usually this works. I don't know why. I tested like 3 times today, but
The demo gods were
yeah,
not-
they don't like me. They never do.
We tried too many demos at once.
Yeah. So yeah, cool. Anything like questions, concerns? This is like you can do server 2008, Windows 7. You can even do it in Windows 10. There are certain build packs that are vulnerable to this. Mine was too like already updated, so I couldn't do it. Otherwise, I'd show you. But yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty critical. Like the ransomware WannaCry uses Eternal Blue and stuff like that. So yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Consider you next.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so everyone on Discord can hear me? Or on Zoom? Yeah, this is totally Discord. So I'm going to be talking about reverse shells. Think of it like SSH, but you're not supposed to be there. So we're going to show this by having this little website I have. So it is the Magic YouTube Downloader, which is 100% secure, non-vulnerable YouTube downloader powered by the YouTube DL command. So I'm going to, I actually have this running on a web server on a remote VM. So I am going to share my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, looks like at least someone can. So here is the YouTube downloader, and I can put in a video URL. I actually have one down here, kind of show that this does run commands to download YouTube videos. And look at that, it's a video from YouTube. There's not much to say there. And it generated this DL URL up here. So if I go back, so this is actually vulnerable to a bug, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So what I'm going to do is I have this conveniently open tab with this command. If I type it in the bar right there, it is socat exec bash, a bunch of things like standard error, TCP, the IP of my machine, and then a port, which is 3333. So this will essentially tell, hey, send a command to like connect to my machine. So I'm going to open up my terminal, and I'm going to actually start a Netcat connection. So Netcat lets us pretty much interact with network traffic. Think of it as the network equivalent of the cat command line utility, hence the name. So now this is running. It doesn't look like much at all, and I can't really do anything with it right now. So I'm going to run this command by downloading it. So note how there's the semicolon here. This will essentially allow us to chain another command to the original YouTube DL script. So I'm going to click download, and you're going to notice that this page is never going to load because the page loads once the YouTube download process concludes. So I'm going to go back to Netcat, and look at that. I have a shell. So I now have access to everything that the process that was running the Python script that is this web server runs. So I already ran ls by typing it above there, sent it over, but I can start navigating this. So if I go to the DL folder, I can see I got some other stuff in here like this secrets.jpg. So I am going to go to dl.secrets.jpg, and we find the secret file waiting for us. But this is not all we can do. We have access to a user that has access to pretty much everything. So I can echo, I can just do who am I? Or I can spell it right. But you can see it'll actually run the command, who am you? And yeah, it's me. And I can also run some other stuff like neofetch. And you can see that this is running on a virtual machine over at Azure. So this is not running on my local hardware. And then I guess finally I can kind of poke around. I can cat this cheat sheet, but since this is Bash, I can actually use wildcards. And it actually prints all of the nodes for this presentation. And I can theoretically run, just to finish things off. I don't think it's going to work because it's not a true interactive session. This is literally just a bunch of net traffic going over, but hey. And yeah, it looks like it's stuck as I expected, but we can just do Control-C and the shell terminates. And if I continue the actually in the process, the page would have finished loading. So I'm going to now briefly talk about what I just did. So I am going to share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at the code behind this website. So you can see we have this os.system line, which this is Python, specifically the Flask web server. And the os.system line will allow us to run a command that is stored as a string. However, that's not good because this allows any arbitrary string to be run no matter what it is. So if I added a semicolon or a double ampersand, it will actually run that command after the utdl command because it's literally putting whatever I tell it to in the URL variable, which then allows us to spawn a reverse shell. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, sanitize your inputs. That is a good idea. Because if not, then someone who is not as nice as me hacking myself could potentially compromise a machine and then use that to further infiltrate a network and potentially get access to some pretty high level or confidential materials. Anything else? If not, I'll pass it on to.
All right, so before we get to the final event of tonight, who here has heard of Log4j? Ah, good, you've been paying attention. That's awesome. This is a really big deal, and we're proud to present this. So Addison, go ahead and come on up here and show us what Log4j is.
All right, so new question. Who here heard of Log4j before December? I see, basically nobody. Well then, so Log4j is a very widely used package. If you ever installed Java, you see the 3 billion devices run Java. A lot of estimates also say about 3 billion devices run Log4j, which causes a bit of a problem. Vulnerabilities found will infect basically everything. So back in December, exploit was discovered. It has been used extensively in the wild. There has been huge reports, spot scanning network for anything vulnerable. JNDI, or the Java Network Domain Interface, directory interface, can load remote resources. And if you have an older version of Java, you can load executable code. For this particular exploit, you can use many protocols, including but not limited to LDAP, RMI, DNS. Here would be an example command. You have this uses LDAP, so you have the JNDI, which calls LDAP at the IP port, and then you can do your code. If you want to run through how that happened, you have an injection point anywhere on a site or front ends where you can input text, search box, username field, password, anywhere really. You have a refer server, which will take whatever you use, LDAP, RMI, and then refer back to your HTTP server, and then your server running Log4j. So let's take a look at how this might work. Share my screen. I would like to share. All right, so we're gonna do a demonstration with the Minecraft server. This is a bit of an older version of Minecraft, but you could get it working on a newer version. So let's see here if we can increase the size of my. So first up, this is Minecraft 1.8.8, but you could get it working on newer versions. It's not exclusive to the older versions. Over here, which is the referrer server, in my case, we're using LDAP. I'm using this GitHub repo called MarshallSec. This specific point of attack is not new. This MarshallSec GitHub is 5 years old. You can find a Black Hat talk on using JNDI to load remote code all the way back in 2016. It's just the particular way of using it through Log4j was new. I also just have a simple Python HTTP server running, which is where my malicious code is hosted. And then in a VM to show it is exporting code on a remote server, we just have a normal version of Minecraft. This is paper MC, also 188. So if we connect over to my Minecraft server, there we go. So here we are, normal Minecraft server. I am not any kind of op. You can see I won't have any permission to do things. Or maybe. See, no permissions do anything. So if we wanted to do that, we can do our command, which would be JNDI, and then our protocol. We have LDAP. Nope. We have LDAP. And then the IP that we're going to connect to, which is 192.1. That's not going to be good for me. I'm going to type this command faster. The IP is 1. Oh. Here, watch me fix this. All right, now it's daytime. The zombie has not stopped. Peaceful. Perfect. Difficulty to set to peaceful. The zombie will no longer bother me while I type my command. All right, let's start over. We have the 192.168.56.1. So I in my VM is 1, and then we have log4j.rc. Right. So this will make the call over to the LDAP server, which will refer back to the HP server, which will then open a calculator as a benign action on the host, but you could get remote shell or anything else of the sort in the same way. So as we'll see, it did not. Oh, I need $1 there. And now it is doing nothing.
To be fair, it didn't even send it yet.
Well, so it won't appear in the console until. No, so the command clearly has done something, since it won't show up in the logs anywhere until after the log is parsed. Since the JNDI is attempting to add whatever the output of this is, since it's dynamic log. So really you could use something like this to like print in a log file, here's the Java version, or here's the current time. So you could put it in there. So it will first fetch the resource. But oh, I see, I know what the problem is. I've, right, hold on. Nope. See, this is why we have notes. Here is a almost working command.
The port.
Oh, I've got the port. Aha, problem solved. It is 1389 as a port, although since it, oh no, all right, we're gonna have to very quickly restart the server because it does not like having the connections open, and it's gonna wait for that first session to time out, so don't do that. So we're just going to restart my server. All right, we'll get this to work. There's no zombies this time as well. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. All right, let's try this again, but this time we'll put a port in. See, here's the fully functional command. And there, so you can see over here, it's set the LDAP reference. And then you can see it got the thing, and boom, the calculator is opened on the remote server. It is in the VM. You can see on the VM, calculator is open, and it's not on my host. And therefore, I've had code execution on the remote server through Minecraft. So I was actually going to use Minecraft 1.17, but newer versions of Java block remote code execution or remote classes from loading by default. And I couldn't figure out what version of Java 17 or newer had that disabled by default. So 1.8 was easier to use, but if you could get that disabled on a newer version of Java, you could in theory use it all the way up to 1.18. You could do that as well, or you could build your own or anything like that.
So are you saying, because of the whole zombie villager situation, that the counter for the log4shell vulnerability is zombie villager? This is a question posed by Keystroke in chat.
Zombie villagers are a pretty effective defense, I have to say. It did prevent me from writing the command correctly, but they can be easily defeated by building a house.
What if it's hard mode and they bust down the door?
Try an iron door. Any other questions?
What's the advantage of using
So I didn't use Minecraft to hack. I just used Minecraft server as the vulnerable server, and the Minecraft chat box was the injection point. But you could use anything. If you had a shop that logged search queries, then you would use a web browser with the shop URL as your injection point and then hack the shop page. The only two things, the HTTP server, would be the same and the referrer would be the same. So these two would stay the same, but the server that you'd attack and the client you'd use would be the difference.
And the reason that we chose Minecraft for this demonstration was because when Log4j was initially published, it was one person being a malicious actor against their friend's Minecraft server. And that's how it was like included, developed, and deployed initially. So it all came from trolling Minecraft.
Imagine burning a 0-day on Minecraft hacking Discord server for the lulz.
Any other questions?
That's just hacker culture.
Yes.
So because you're injecting into the logging driver of the server, does it actually log to file the chat command you use, or is it become undetectable server side?
It will log. You can see on the VM, calculator opened twice because it logged once to the archive log, once to the latest log. So if you look at the log, you can see it, but it just won't show up in the console.
So
Oh no, it did show up in the console after it finished. So after the connection is closed, it's finished. So if you open the remote shell, the connection will not be logged until you close the shell.
The log file would contain the actual.
Yes. No other questions? All right, here we can quickly reshare here. Yes, screen. So if you want to look at a quick rundown of what I did, I started with the injection point, which in our case was the chat box. And I sent my malicious payload over to the server, which was running a vulnerable version of Log4j. It responded, going to the refer server with an LDAP request. The LDAP server said, you actually want to go to the HTTP server. Then went over there to the HTTP server. And then my remote code was loaded and executed onto there. And if at one point you wanted to do a reverse shell, which is totally possible with this, it would then call back to you from your computer, and then you can have a shell. All right.
Thank you, Asim. All right, awesome, guys. So that completes all of our demos for this session. Hope you learned a little bit, sparked your imagination, and hopefully you'd like to learn some of this later on. Here we've got a slide up for the operations crew. So everyone you saw that came up here and did a demo, they're on ops, and they are always like trying to find new ways to like bring content towards y'all. If you want to learn, if you want to come up here and demonstrate something, if you already know something, you want to demonstrate something, please hit us up in the ops chan, become an ops member, help grow the club and demonstrate stuff. I saw a hand go up in the back. Yeah.
lot of the places that do confidential information or whatever, do they put information out there to attract somebody for the virus from their computer, for instance? And then they go just trace it back to wherever it came from?
Like a honeypot?
Yeah, there's things like honeypots that do that for you.
So just to repeat the question so that everyone in Zoom can hear it as well. And I'm going to paraphrase you, so please correct me if I miss something here. The question is, when going out into the wild net and looking for different like endpoints to hit and malicious things to do, is it common as a defensive strategy to bait a would-be attacker or redirect a would-be attacker in some way to follow up on them later on? Is that some? Yep. To answer your question, yeah, there are a variety of different ways. They began talking about honeypots. That's a pretty common deployment where effectively someone tries to intrude on your network. You give them something that looks like exactly what they want to attack, and they go down that rabbit hole. And once they do, they can't hit any other endpoint in your network. Anytime that they try to attack it again, they're just immediately redirected towards that honeypot, and that's all they're going to get. Network segmentation allows you to do that. We've talked about it in the past, and we can talk about it again too if y'all want to home lab up and like learn how to deploy a honeypot, something like that. There's also almost an endless variety of ways that you can fool and or maybe even harm a would-be attacker if that was something that you were really interested in doing.
But don't, because it's illegal.
Don't, because it probably is illegal.
Probably,
Yeah, it's better to not. Does that answer the question?
Because I had mentioned that you're just trying to catch an animal, just bait it. And I'm just figuring that you can fight stuff like that.
Catching a would-be attacker is not necessarily the easiest thing. It's not like being like in the physical world where when someone does something, there's a direct line of attribution. There are so many different ways that you can mask what you're doing when you're hitting an endpoint. So even if you get someone's information, or even if you call back to a given machine, maybe you get them to download something and trace back to that machine. You don't know that that's not a VM sitting in AWS or Azure or DigitalOcean or something, or it's not someone's like racked machine in a like a data center somewhere that's registered to a completely different person, and you're just going to follow that down. Doing that level of work for like law enforcement, things like that, gets very complicated really quickly and is kind of outside the scope of what it is we teach here. All right. Yeah. So as you saw, oh, yep. What's up? Yeah. So what you're talking about is a container escape, and there are a variety of ways to do it. It's very complex, and it really depends upon what it is that you're doing. If that is something that we want to give a presentation on, we definitely like make it happen. But yeah, it can be done. It's just not easy. Are there any other questions in chat? Take a look at chat real quick. Nope, nothing in chat. Cool. All right, so that's my thing about ops. Please come join, grow the club. Let's do some really awesome stuff together. UCF, Hack UCF projects. So we've got our infra. You might have heard about that. We built private cloud last semester. We do have a website and we have a web dev crew. If you want to do that kind of a thing and you want to help webmaster all of our services, please hit me up, get you slotted in that. We've got a bunch of stuff that we'd really like to do if we had people to do it. Graphic design and marketing development. We are constantly always trying to grow the club and reach out and like get contact with more and more people. And I need like hands on deck to get that done. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, please let me know and we'll talk. If you're not on our mailing list, join the mailing list. If you're not on our shop, check out our shop. If you're not in the Discord, join the Discord. If you're not, if you do the Twitter thing, you can check us out on Twitter. Thank you very much. We really appreciate y'all, and have a great time.